Good afternoon and welcome to the Joy Show with Rev B. I'm Reverend Barbara Schreiner Trudell, and I'm the spiritual leader for the Centers for Spiritual Living on the Lake in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I am so grateful that you've decided to join me today. I want to start with a land acknowledgement. It's the way I begin all things. I acknowledge that the land I'm meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty, signed by multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. This Turtle Island is the home of many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, and it is my hope that through land acknowledgements and through the work that we do on reconciliation, that we begin to heal our history and begin to move into our future with a greater sense of oneness, joy, and love. So I am so grateful to be here and to honor the lands that I get to work on that have been so well cared for by the Indigenous and Métis First Nations people across Turtle Island. So the Joy Show, joy is just one you. When we sort of accept that we're unique and special, that there's only one of us, unrepeatable, when we get that, we begin to create something that's really fantastic. As we accept our authentic self, remove the masks, start to live in a place of true grace and joy and peace, what happens is joy just follows. That there's something about living authentically that makes life so much easier. And so this show is all about that. And today I'm interviewing a person who found their path in a roundabout way along the journey. And I'm so grateful to introduce my good friend, Nanci Miranda. Nanci is an intuitive artist living here in Toronto, and her journey took her from caregiver and habitual caregiver nonetheless, to suffering with physical illness into a place that just flipped everything for her. And she is now a remarkable artist. She is also a successful food stylist and has been doing that for over 30 years. And she is one of the best. And because COVID provided so many opportunities, she is also now a Reiki therapist. Welcome, Nanci Miranda.
Thank you, Barbara. What a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to share my story. It's really cool.
Well, I am so grateful that you're here because this journey that you have been on, I've been in awe of it right from the beginning. It's like,
Me too.
you know, you start with one thing and then boom, here you are. So do you want to share a little bit about how you got onto the healing path, like what you were doing and how you got here?
Well, about 10 years ago, I had been caregiving chronically for a decade. Every time a loved one would become diagnosed palliatively, I would be caring for them. And then as they were starting to transition, another loved one would become diagnosed. And this kept going on for 8 loved ones over a decade. And I was becoming so good at it. You know, I was really finding ability in being that caregiver that it became an addiction. And so when God would say, like, stop, I pushed through because Everyone would say things like, "Oh my God, you're going to get Nancy to take care of you. You know, she's amazing at it." And my ego loved it. It
Yeah.
just ate it up, and it wouldn't stop. And then
Mm.
one day, my body shut down. My-
Isn't that kind of what happens, right? Is we martyr ourselves
yeah.
until we have nothing left to give. Like there's this whole thing that happens, and luckily for you, when your body said enough,
Hmm.
well, you were knocked flat long enough that you weren't able to do anything else anyway. So, kind of a rude. I think of it like as the universal sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Comes
Yeah.
out and whacks you across the head and goes, "Okay, enough, lady. Time to rest." So tell me about that time of healing. What was that process like?
So it took a year. I was basically, I couldn't move from one room to another without having to fall fast asleep.
Mm,
My adrenals would not allow me to stay awake, so I would just pass out. Um, and then when the summer came, I rested the entire summer in a lawn chair in my backyard.
yeah.
And I would get up in the morning and I would go to my lawn chair and I was able to read, thank God. And I would read my book and my family would bring me meals. And believe me, by this point, they were sick and tired of this issue that I was dealing with.
I bet they were.
Because I went from like a go-getter, caregiver, handling everything, my career, my friends, my family, I was doing it, to nothing, to stillness. And so this summer I rested. And then I would say close to the end of August, I just reached a point where I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
I couldn't do it one more second, you know? And I just I yelled out to God, "I'm done. I've rested enough. I'm going to stop caregiving. I'm going to give up this chronic thing that's running me." I made all these promises, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was sure I would stop.
Yeah.
And suddenly, as I was saying this out loud and meaning it at that level, suddenly my vision completely altered and I could see things in 3D. I could see everything dimensionally, and colors were really bright, like I'd never noticed anything like this before. And I could see in a completely different way. It was magic.
Wow. And that's when you decided to sketch something in your backyard.
Yeah. I had been staring at the same thing. I don't know why I didn't move the lawn chair. I could have moved the lawn chair. I looked at lots of stuff, but every day I looked at a set of stairs, a bicycle, over and over and over again. Except now with this new vision, I could see it completely in a brand new way. So I went in the house and I got a lined piece of paper of my daughter's from school and one of those yellow chewed up pencils with the brown eraser, because that's all we had. I had never drawn, painted, thought about being an artist my whole life. Didn't have any ability in that area. And
Mm.
I started to sketch and the shading was perfect, the perspective was perfect. It was remarkable. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And my family looked at the picture and they were like, first of all, they didn't believe I did it. And then after that happened, I thought, wow, I wonder if I can paint. It was as if suddenly my mind was opening up to this new ability.
Yeah.
And so I started painting. I just started.
Well, what's amazed me about about the work that you've done is you've been selling your work pretty much since day one.
Yeah. It's
That's
as if
surprising.
it's as if the what the paintings that come out are meant for people.
Yeah.
When I do commissions for people, there's so much emotion in them that they heal the person's heart.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. And
Well, I remember the first painting you did for me,
yeah, yeah.
and I was blown away. It's a horse, and I, it brought me to tears. I was totally shocked and amazed, and I'm so grateful that it's hanging on my wall.
Oh,
I should have brought a picture of it to show here, but yeah, and look at these dogs. You've done
I
lots of
know. I
stuff.
mean, so the amazing thing about this gift is that it doesn't matter if it's oil, pastel, acrylic, watercolor, sketching, dogs, people, landscapes, imaginary landscapes, abstract, realism. It doesn't matter. This gift can flow effortlessly out of me. Um, and today I wanted to take the opportunity to share um, what's really going on with this gift from God. And I've been nervous about telling the truth about it.
Yeah.
Um, and it took a long time for me to understand that suddenly when I would be painting, I would notice that there were these collections coming out with certain brush strokes, or then I would notice that if I was doing a portrait, um, that I felt differently. Like, look at that. Like that's the second portrait I ever did in my life. like where the hell does that well, it comes from spirit. So
Amazing.
yeah. So the then I started to meditate into this surrender of what's actually happening, and what built after many years of opening up to the reality of it is that I would notice that there were different spirits that were painting through me. And this took me
Mm.
a long time to be okay with. Well, I was like, that's not possible. I'm crazy. How will I explain that? Um, and I would say to people, I'm not painting the paintings. Yes, my hand is doing it. Yes, but I sit down at the easel and I just pick all the colors they want. I know I have jars with different brushes and tools that are theirs. There are 6 of these artist spirits that work through me.
Yeah.
And like this is one of Jack's. So he does abstract portraits that are full of energy. This is the dreamer that we're showing. So she is, well, you can see what she is. I mean, she's so full of love, so full of light.
Yeah.
And each of these artists at the beginning were doing their own thing.
Mhm.
And I would know with the category I was painting, or the tool I was working with, or the medium, who was painting. And
Right.
then I got to a point where I sat down and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try and do their portrait. I'm going to meditate and see if I can see them. And again, effortlessly, their faces appeared in my mind. The first portraits took 15 minutes. They're very small, but they immediately came out. Like there's Ella, she's a young girl, and just adorable. And when she paints, I have to listen to the Jackson Five. Uh, I feel like a teenager. And then there's Jack, who's cigarette smoking. He wears no shirt. He wears no shoes. Um, he's like a wild man. He's fabulous to paint with.
Yeah.
And they exist on some plane. Um, I guess some artists or musicians would say muse, but I didn't expect to to know what they look like,
Yeah.
know their name. But again, through meditation, surrender to
Yeah.
spirit, this has all been revealed to me. And it's such a blessing to be at this point now. I mean, I've had such a long journey of kind of in the closet with them, out of the closet. Okay, I'll say it. No, I don't. Even with this interview,
Ah, well,
including
when I first talked to you about doing this, yeah, you were reluctant to do this for a little while.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm glad that you're on now. What's interesting about your work, and I have a lot of your paintings, and what I find most interesting is the fact that you switch from one medium to another
Mhm.
so effortlessly. I've got watercolors of yours, I've got pastels of yours. It's like, hello,
I know.
oils, it's like I just see something and go, yeah, I gotta have that. I mean, you're getting priced out of my price point here, so I'm not sure what I'll do in the future, but I'll have to start earning more money so I can afford your paintings. But it's like it's just so beautiful to watch how this has transitioned because you were doing a lot of work with other people, and it really was to a point where it was time for you to stop.
Mhm.
And I think you got a very loud message.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you listened to it because so often we don't. We go, oh,
Well,
I have to persevere. I have to try.
sure.
I have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then after I did receive the gift, of course, another friend was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and wow, I was like, wow, I'm feeling better, But what I was able to do was help in other ways.
Yeah.
So I painted him a painting. I and I would say to him, I'm here for you, but I can't. His wife had passed, one of my dear friends, and she was the last one that I fully, went into caregiving.
Yeah.
But the temptation's there. It's one of my gifts, you know. And now, because of COVID, um, I got COVID at the beginning, and it damaged my legs. And to help myself physically, I studied Reiki, and that opened a new door for me. That was like, oh my God, you know. So now, um, I I can give that way, and I can. It's not an all or nothing technique, When for that hour, I'm in it for that person's healing, and then I just after the session's over, um, I don't really recall what's happened. I don't, where before with caregiving, I lived in it. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to, you
Yeah.
know, what else can happen to them that I can fix?
Yeah. Well, I think we get into that mode sometimes. I know when I was first studying to be a minister and studying for as a practitioner, I couldn't wait to work with people
Hmm.
because it was like I can heal them. Well, I soon realized I'm not the one doing the healing.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
healing. I just happen to be a conduit for them to be able to see that the path is there.
Right.
And so it's interesting to begin to look at it from a new perspective. And I know for me, the big one was when I had a young person, early 30s, come to me who was dying of lung cancer.
Mhm.
And, I'm like, oh, great. You want a treatment for healing. And it was no, no, I want a treatment so that everyone around me will be okay with this.
Mhm.
And that was like
That's
ice
so
water
true.
in the face. It was the
Wow.
first time, I'm in conversation with somebody who knows they're dying and they're okay with it.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
it's just that shift of, recognizing that in order to be truly in service, we have to allow for whatever's happening to happen. And sometimes
Mhm.
it's getting okay with that. But I love the journey that you've been on because truly you've always been an artist. As a food stylist, I
Yeah.
mean, you make burgers look really good, but then I go to the restaurant and they don't look
And they
anything.
don't look like
They're
exactly.
not glued together. They're not in perfect order. But
Yeah, that's true.
most
I'm a
people don't
professional
think about
liar.
But nobody thinks about that, right? Like we look at the big signs at Loblaws or
Yeah.
Safeway or whatever grocery store, or IKEA. You did all the IKEA food. It's like we look at this stuff
Yeah.
and it's like, and then
Sorry.
the third one, somebody cooked it and put it together in a way to make it look fantastic.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you were always an artist, just a different medium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Moving from food to acrylics, and well, you were probably using some of that. I think you painted some of your food too, didn't
I
you?
do, but they have to be painted with edible product. So I'm
Right.
always challenging myself there. Yeah.
It's amazing. And, it's interesting all the things that are going on. Like, look at this food, right? I mean, these
Yeah.
grapes. Is it grapes? Yeah.
They're berries.
Berries. Yeah, because I was thinking the tops don't look quite right. But I
Mhm.
mean, it's beautiful. Like, I look at those berries and it's like, yeah, it looks like blueberries.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh. I don't know why I thought of grapes, but
Well, they're in
and
a cluster.
they're in a cluster. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And I've got a big giant pear on my wall that
Yeah.
you painted,
Yeah,
which
I love that.
love that
I
pear.
love that piece.
It's just so stunning. But it's like all of the different things that you've done and the way that you're doing them, and the fact that you're doing commissions and stuff as well. I think that's really cool that somebody can come to you and say, here's the space, here's my colors, here's the size I need. Um, and you sit down and chat with them and you come up with something that blows them away.
Mhm. You know, the beauty of I think that the beauty of this gift is that because I don't have formal training and I never planned on being an artist, I don't have the set beliefs. I was never told artists can't sell. I was never told people won't be moved by your pieces. Plus, I think that my pieces are heaven sent. I think that I'm not painting just to paint something. There's
Right.
meaning and things in it. So, you know, I don't have, sure, I have times where I'll be involved in a show or something and I'll think, geez, why isn't something moving? But then someone a year later will find a piece and seeing the joy in their eyes and the connection of when they see their piece, when they claim it, I realize
Yeah.
that's what it's about. It's not about, making another $1,000. It's about bringing joy and healing to people. And,
Yeah.
and I use New Thought to work through when I do have a negative thought. When I
Hmm.
when I do uh, when I do take it to the commercial end and not the feeling end, you know?
It will exactly. And I'll just add in here that, I'm the spiritual leader for the Centers for Spiritual Living on the Lake, and Nanci Miranda is the board president.
Yeah.
And she's been studying with me for years and years and years. And so I'm really, really grateful to have her as a board member. But also, she's attending classes as well. So, continuing the journey in the science of mind and using that to continue to move you forward, but it's helping you probably with everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we just finished a course. You just finished teaching that course where,
Beyond limits. Yeah.
yeah, Beyond Limits. It was like mind blowing just to each week go from realizing what I believe, what limiting beliefs I have when, I've been doing this work a long time, been on my path for decades, and you think, well, I've got my stuff together. And then it's like, oh, I think a lot of stuff that holds me back.
One of the things that I often think about is the fact that I'm on this plane of existence, so I must have work to do.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like there must be something for me to do because I'm still here. If I was, an ascended master, I'd have ascended by now.
Yeah.
So I just, every day doing the work, doing the work, doing the work. And And, there's nothing better than doing what you absolutely love to do
Mhm.
and then doing it with people that you love, which is even more rewarding. So I'm really, really grateful. We're going to take a little short commercial break here. You've been listening to Rev B and The Joy Show and my lovely guest, Nanci Miranda, the artist, and I've put her link into the chat. And we're on the New Thought Media Network, and we will be back in just a moment.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back. I'm Rev B, and this is The Joy Show, just one you, the importance of living an authentic life. And my guest today is Nanci Miranda, an artist in Toronto who's doing amazing work, but also a Reiki practitioner. So tell us a little bit about your Reiki work, which evolved out of COVID.
Yeah, it did. Well, I ended up wanting to have some relief with my health. And so I Googled Reiki, Toronto.
Go to the Google.
And this amazing teacher's website came up. And it was like one of those where I just went, oh my God. So I wrote her and connected with her, and she was available. She travels a lot. And so she gave me a name and I connected with her, and this person did Reiki on me. And then because I was kind of in their mailing list, I received this mailer about doing training as a Reiki therapist. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to check it out. And initially it was selfish. I thought if I could train in this, I could work on my legs, because at the time, before it was diagnosed that COVID had erased the memory of how to walk and use my feet, I thought I had MS, and I was really worried about that.
Mhm.
And I thought, okay, so I could do Reiki on my legs, on my, I didn't know anything about it. But as soon as I went for the training, it was like just one of those things where this is meant for me. I'm meant to do this. All of a sudden, I just had a calling to it. And this summer, I'll do my level 3 to become a Reiki master. I'm really excited about that, and start my practice. So,
Well, and I'm excited about it too. I've done some sessions with you,
mhm.
and I'm really in awe of some of the stuff that has come out of that and the spontaneous healing that has occurred, which, like,
It's amazing, right?
well, I've had Reiki before, and I did Reiki level 1.
Hmm.
I've never had this experience that I've had with you.
Mm.
So, and some people might go, well, that's because you know each other, but that sometimes puts a barrier. It
Hmm.
doesn't actually create an opening in every moment. But for us, it really, really has. Like whenever I do a session with you, I'm in awe of the stuff that's coming.
Hmm.
Like, and the messages you're receiving and the clarity of what's, and just this connection you have with other realms.
Fine, I know it's kind of it. It's not kind of anything. It's amazing. I think because I've done so much work to connect with the artist spirits that work through me,
Mhm.
I've removed a lot of barriers. So when I can open a channel, when I do Reiki with people,
Mhm.
it's very clear to me. Sometimes it's very exciting. I can see some of their guides and then I sketch them. And that's the coolest thing. When I can put it on paper, um, it's so wonderful. And the messages, when I'm receiving the messages, it's as if I'm not really present. It's hard to explain, but um, it's really wonderful to be able to, and I'm always amazed. I don't know what message is going to come. I don't know
Yeah.
what the answer is. I'm literally a vessel that they're just sending this through. Um, um, and, to notice the depth of healing that can happen for people is just remarkable. Like it's such an
Well,
honor to
yeah.
have this, to be able to have this practice to do. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I was amazed. I'm just going to share a little bit from one of my sessions, but in one of them you mentioned a green sweater, and I only have one green sweater, which belonged to my father, who's been deceased now for 11 years. And what's interesting is the minute I said, well, yeah, I have my dad's sweater. I had bought it for him 30 years ago or whatever, right? And when he passed away, his wife said, hey, do you want it? And I went, yeah, it's something I can keep in my closet. And anyway, do you want to share what
It
happened
was
with
just
you?
amazing because I'm like, they're showing me this green sweater. Do you own, like, does that mean something to you? And then when you said your dad's sweater, then immediately it was like your dad just came. It was like, because I guess I'd opened communication. And then it was very important to him that you wear the sweater whenever the pain was coming.
Yeah,
So that you,
whenever I had pain in my back.
yeah, whenever, so that you knew he was comforting you. And I mean, I didn't know that would lead to anything. It was just remarkable.
But it did lead to something rather interesting.
Yes. You're thinking something, so you say
Well,
it.
I am. I get a text message.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy's not a super early riser. Okay. She doesn't get out of bed early. I do. I
Yeah.
tend to get up very early.
Oh, God.
So I'm up. My back is particularly bad this day. Of course, I'm not putting the sweater on like I'd been instructed to do. I'm getting ready to do my morning prayers and stuff, and roaming around, stiff as can be. Back is really bothering me, and all of a sudden, I get a text message at 6:20 in the morning from Nancy.
Yeah. Barbara's dad woke me, um, and just it's as if just energy. There is no one's standing in front of me. It's not like that. It's just undeniably him, and he's saying, "Remind her to put on my sweater." And I'm like, I don't even have my glasses on because I'm like 6:25. I'm not getting,
Yeah, nothing.
and I'm trying to make sure I text the right words. And I hit send. And I don't even know till I wake up that that mattered to you. I didn't know it was a bad day for you back.
Well, it was just, it was one of those moments where, I mean, I've been teaching spiritual principles for almost 30 years now. And what's interesting to me is when I'm surprised by something.
Mm,
And that really, really surprised me. That number one, that you'd get the message on the day when I was having an issue.
yeah.
In the moment that I was having the issue, it was just kind of uncanny. And it was kind of a sweet because, I've missed my dad since he died. Um, I had a close relationship with him. And so not being able to see him and talk to him and whatever, that was a bit of a challenge for me. But, you deal with it, right? It's part of life. Um, but it was just wonderful to go, oh, somehow we're still connected.
Yeah.
There hasn't been an ending point. We're still connected.
Yeah.
So I was just blown away. And we've had a couple of sessions that I'm like,
I know.
I have no idea. I have no words. I just continue to learn, to be open, to learn, to be open, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think being teachable is one of the most important qualities we can have as we're doing our best to live this human experience.
Yeah. I agree. It's
Yeah.
just an ongoing journey. And,
Mhm.
you know, working with my artists and now doing Reiki and connecting with guides and getting messages. And I mean, working on you, I've seen memories from your childhood. I mean, that's a miracle. That's amazing, right?
I don't even see them.
Well, I could have said that memory and you could have said you haven't a clue what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
it resonated and
Yeah.
mattered
Mhm.
to your healing. And, I'm just learning to be open. Like
Yeah.
life is a freaking miracle
It
every
is.
second. And the more you open, the more you're authentic, the more like working with you and the center has taught me, not just a tagline that there's just one me. There is literally just one me, and there's just one of everybody, and we're
Mhm.
all amazing.
Yeah.
The, you know,
Yeah.
and to stop. I mean, there's a little bit of age here. I'm at an age now where I do not care what someone thinks. It took me a little time to have the courage to share my story this deeply, but
Yeah.
at the same time, there'll be people who will just think I'm a nut bar. There'll be people who think I'm anything, right? There's nothing I can do about it. And the ones who resonate with it or think it's fabulous, that's beautiful, but that doesn't matter either. It just matters that
Yeah.
I'm authentic. I live my truth, and I spread joy and I help with healing in a way that's healthy for me. Never going backward.
There's the piece,
Yeah,
right? It's finding that balance that I can do work that is healing, that is supportive to people, and at the same time do it in a way that respects and honors my own physical, mental, and spiritual health,
yeah.
right? Like to make sure that I'm not putting myself under the bus, so to speak. And
Mhm.
it's important to do that, to have balance with the family, to have balance with creating and just all the different things that get done. Now, you got an interesting, I don't know what you're wearing, if you can show it, but you got an interesting tattoo
Oh, I
that,
did. Yeah, you can.
that
Oh no,
seems,
a sec.
can you see it? Can you show it?
Let's see. I don't know if the Zoom will let me do it.
Oh,
There
there
it
we
is.
go. There it
There
is.
it is.
Can you talk about what that bird is? And we can see it
Yeah, it's hard to
right
see
there.
there because I've got my background blurred, but yeah. So, my dad was the first person who passed in this lineage of caregiving, and he appeared to me initially as a raven and has for whenever he appears to me. And when I do Reiki, he sits on my shoulder. Um, and so I've once I started doing Reiki and I was drawing other people's guides, then I realized, oh, I can draw my dad.
No. Mhm.
And I would say 10 minutes, I got charcoal and it just appeared. And it's stunning and I love it. And to have it on my body, because my other
I was going
arm,
to say your other arm.
yeah, when my mom passed away, we were not close. We were, I was one of her caregivers and in her life, but we had issues. And when got the gift of being an artist, one day I was looking through a box of her papers, just deciding, should I toss them? She's been gone for 10 years. Like, does this stuff matter? And she used to love to do creative writing. And I found a story that she had written about, and it was called The Artist's Life. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. So on this arm, in her handwriting, the tattoo artist did it. It's the world is your canvas and your spirit is your brush, and then her initials. And so I have my mom and my dad on my arms. They're always with me. And
That's beautiful.
I
That's
love it.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
I love that your mom was writing about an artist years and years and years and years before you ever even figured out that that's what you are.
Exactly. And this sentence was like just in it. It wasn't the opening sentence. It wasn't,
Yeah.
I was just reading it. And then it was as if the type magnified when I hit it. And then I thought, and I don't think a week went by before I got the tattoo.
No, it was pretty quick. It was pretty
Yeah,
quick.
because I
Yeah.
just felt it. It was like, oh my God, and by then, I had done so much healing work, forgiveness work. And that's the other thing about Science
Yeah.
of Mind. A big aspect of it is forgiveness work of myself, my mom, realizing she just did the best she could, you know?
And
That's
that's
all
a
that's
great
all.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so it
So important. Yeah.
yeah. So by the time I was ready to have this tattoo on my body, there I was I adored her.
Mm.
You know?
There's a great message in that. I think sometimes as we're growing up, it's easy to blame our parents
Yeah.
because they did things wrong, and as a result, we're struggling. But the
Yeah.
truth is, they probably did the best they could with what they knew at the time,
Yeah.
and because of that, um, we're the result. But when I look at my life today, I wouldn't be the woman I am today without the life that I've lived.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
why would I change anything?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the big thing is can I just go, you know what it is, and it's been what it's been. And from here, I'm of an age now like you. I'm like
Yep.
what people think of me, hardly any of my business.
Yep.
Because we each think from our own consciousness, our own perspectives. So it's not like we can really say, well, this person's this or that person's that. We don't have the information to be able to do that. So
Mhm.
learning how to sort of look at each other in awe.
Yeah, that's great.
That's yeah, because then there's a desire to discover, to understand, to get to know.
Mhm.
And we've all had amazing journeys. I mean, and you and I have daughters that are best
Yeah.
friends that
Yeah.
are the same age, 2 weeks apart in
Yeah.
age.
So cool.
It's,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
I know. It's
Given
amazing.
that we're old ladies with these teenage girls.
Keeps us young. That's why we look
Keeps us
like.
young. There you go. I like it. I like it. Thank you, Wayne. Yes, thank you for may the wellspring of life bless you always. That's
Oh,
beautiful.
that's beautiful. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Well, it's fascinating, the journey that we walk and the people that we meet. And if we could come to a place of acceptance that each one of us processes differently,
Hmm.
shows up differently, but that we can always learn from each other, right?
Exactly.
That to me is one of the greatest gifts, is to look at someone else's path and not want their path, but recognize, like, wow, if this person can find their rhythm
Hmm.
after whatever age that was, I'm
Yeah.
not going to out you there. Um, but it's like the minute you get that, you start to recognize and realize that if you can accept yourself as you are, where you are, and then turn around and share in the world in the same way, what happens is you create a sacred container for everybody in your life to
Hmm.
show up.
Hmm.
And we find a way to meet people where they are and
Yeah.
to discover them for who they are, which is really a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Hmm.
So what's next on your plans? Like where are you going next with all of this? You're going to become a Reiki master,
Hmm. Yeah.
but you've got some more art stuff that you're planning in the future.
Yeah. Well, right now, what I'm offering is moment in time paintings,
Hmm.
where you know we take like a gazillion photos on with our new phones, right? We
Yeah.
keep them and we store them on a cloud and we never look at them. And so what I'm offering now is for people to look through these photos, and the best moment in time paintings are even when the person isn't looking at the camera. It's the moment where you had an emotional moment, where you were with someone that meant something to you, where
Mhm.
you're experiencing something like this one. So her daughters are running through a field. She's pregnant. It's just before her son is going to be born. And they're just, you can feel it. You can feel how they're like full of life. And I mean, I loved painting this painting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I love the one you did of your sister's friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. I don't think you have that with
I
us
don't have
here
it
today.
here, but where she's walking down a lane with her grandchildren,
Mhm.
and their backs are to you, but you can feel when you look at the painting. And
Yeah.
for her, for you know to hang these on your wall instead of having them stuck in your phone in an album you put on your phone, you're sure you're going to look back.
Yeah.
um, it's just, that's what I'm offering right now. And with these paintings, to I love to have consultations to understand, hear the story, like get the person to tell me all about what happened and how they felt and who's in it. And,
Yeah.
um, I think you were referring to the one I just did, where the three women have been girlfriends for over 55 years. One of
Yeah.
them has passed away, and they are laughing hysterically, like
Good
where
for
they're going
you.
to fall off. They're having a picnic together. And luckily, her husband captured it,
Yeah.
but no one's looking in the camera. There's the table's all a mess, which in the painting I can change. It's got a beautiful platter of watermelon and their wine glasses, right? It can have anything on that table. So, but and she loved it so much and showed it to the third friend who's still alive, and she's ordered one,
Nice.
because it means so much to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now to have that on your wall instead of just sitting in your phone, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, there's ways that we can take what matters to us
Yeah.
and really kind of expand it. I mean, look at this little face.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This was my very first portrait commission. So it
Mhm.
was my second portrait I painted. I mean, that's a gift from God. How do I know how to do that, right? Like, come on. Like, look at her.
Exactly.
She's so precious.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
when that came out, I just gave in.
yeah, well, see, that's the thing. When we think about artists, we think about, years of classes and training and different modalities or mediums, and every person has their own way of doing things, right? And
Yeah,
so you'll find an artist that you like, but they paint one thing.
yeah,
Maybe they only do landscapes,
yeah.
right? And so it's like fabulous. They do great landscapes, but when you want a portrait, you go to somebody else. I have portraits done by you. I've got abstracts done by you. I've got animals done by you. I've
Yeah.
got, I've got,
You're a
city
great customer.
done by, what's that?
You're a great customer.
Well, it's hilarious because, if you walk around my house, you would never guess that one artist did the majority of the paintings.
And the
Uh,
beautiful thing is that the 6 artists that work through me, they're all different, right? So
oh,
here's one
so
of Jack's, this horse, Maya. She's so powerful, and I mean, I loved painting this. When I painted this, I had to kick my shoes and socks off. It's the middle of winter. I'm in my studio, and I didn't take my top off, but I undid some buttons. And no, I didn't have a cigarette, but I felt like I was chain smoking. It's crazy when this
isn't
happened.
that funny?
It's amazing.
Wow, that's a very
Yeah.
cool painting. I love the use of color. Like,
Mm,
when you think of a horse, you think brown, black, white,
yeah.
palomino. You don't think of pink and red and orange. Blue. But I love that because it gives it, like, there's just something really beautiful about it. Um, yeah, and I love what Wayne just said. Creative flow is the operating rule of the cosmos. Deepak
Beautiful.
Chopra. Yeah, it's like the things that go on, and the way that we process information, the way that we show up in the world is unique for each and every person. And it's so great to meet someone who has tapped in the way that you have. And we all have the ability to do it.
Everyone, everyone. I'm not special. We're all special.
All
And
special.
and here's the cool thing I learned from the experience
Yeah,
is all you have to do is ask. You can't beg, you can't bargain. You have to ask from your heart. And
really easy.
whatever is true for you that you're called to do, that you really want, if you ask it, the universe will give it back to you.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have dreamt it that way.
I know, it's so cool. God just says yes.
Yeah. In a
That's
way
the
bigger
God
way
we
than you're
come to.
planning.
Oh, way, way bigger, way bigger. I mean, that's what's really interesting, is how these things come about that are really, like, a little bit shocking. But at the same time, it's like, how did that happen? But it's a reminder, how is not our job.
Yeah.
We don't need to know how. We just need to be willing to go, oh, I just had an idea. Let me follow it.
Mhm.
Let me take a step toward it and see where it leads or what it does. If you'd never picked up that chewed up pencil and a scrap of your daughter's paper out of her binder, who knew you could sketch?
Yeah.
Like, who
Yeah.
knew you could paint? And
Yeah.
you've done many art shows.
Yeah.
You're planning a big one.
I am.
Yeah,
It's in the works. I'm not sure when it's happening because it's
yeah.
not about the how or I'm
Or the
just,
when. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so it will be a big exhibition to show the larger portraits I've done of my artists and their collections. Um, and it will be called Everything is Possible because I notice that people often say, anything is possible. Yeah, but everything is possible.
Everything is
Everything. If
possible.
you can
I
think it, it
love
can
that.
manifest. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I think that's a big takeaway today, is that when we show up authentically, honestly,
Mhm.
looking at the darkness within us as well as the light, and then allow ourselves to move with the energy of the universe, God just says yes and puts out a full smorgasbord in front of us. And
Yeah.
it's like, what am I going to take from that?
Yeah.
What is it that I'm going to take? What is it I'm going to do? How am I going to move forward? And what a gift.
Mhm.
You are a gift, my friend.
Thank you. You are too. Thank you
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh,
That's
I am
awesome.
so grateful that you agreed to come on the show today. I am so excited to share your message and your show, your big show when it comes up. We'll definitely have you back on so that we
Cool.
can
Okay.
promote that show through here as well. And
I look
we'll
forward to it.
just make sure that lots of people get to come out and see the beautiful work that you do.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was
Well,
great.
thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm so blessed. I am so blessed. So grateful. So grateful. Well, everybody, we're down to our last couple of minutes, and I am just so grateful for everyone who was here today, for everybody who watches in the future. And this show is really about us creating our own authentic, creative, beautiful life. The life that we have is ours. It's ours to do, to have, to be. It's up to us to shine if we so choose. And of course, the universe is always saying yes. So if I think I'm an idiot, I get to be right. But if I think I'm amazing and wonderful and beautiful and unique and special, I get to be right. And I'm here to tell you that every single person is unrepeatable. Every single person is perfect, whole, and complete. Every single person unique and special. There is only one of you, and you matter. You're essential, you're important, you're precious. You make the world a beautiful place because you're in it. That's the message that we all need to take home with us today. And to know that there are two answers to questions that are real easy. One is yes, one is no. They're both complete sentences. So always feel free to say no when you mean no, say yes when you mean yes. And if you ever catch yourself going, I should do something, interrupt the should and acknowledge that probably is a no. So, this journey that we're on is truly a gift and a blessing. I'm so delighted that you're here with me today. Next week, I have a beautiful, beautiful visionary. Her name is Anania. She is a powerhouse woman working for diversity and equity. She is remarkable, and she is the guest next Friday on The Joy Show with Rev B. Remember, just one you. Thank God for that. Namaste. Many blessings. Have a beautiful long weekend. I love you. God bless you. And I'll see you Monday night, 7 p.m. for the Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake on YouTube on the New Thought Media Network. Thanks, everybody.